Welcome to the T&B podcast. I'm the Irish Mick, Tyler McGurk. I am here with Brian, the main man Johnson. We will wrap up this super wild card weekend, they call it now, since there's 7 teams. We'll get into the Eagles-Cowboys, disaster finishes to their season. We'll talk about the Packers and 49ers, the divisional matchups. We'll get into the best 49ers-Packers moments in playoff history. Brian, how the hell are you? It's been too long, my guy.
Yeah, just been busy at the post office. I finished my probationary period next month. So I'll become permanent there. So,
not a boy. Yeah. Never deserves a round of applause. I wish I had a little sound clip for you. Right, we had a super wild card weekend. It started off with the Texans and the Cleveland Browns. Speaking of Cleveland Browns, they shit their bed like their name says so. Brian, what did you take from that game? Were you impressed by C.J. Stroud? Did it seem a little too easy? Did Joe Flacco just come back to who Joe Flacco really is at 37 years old?
I mean, the Texans made him look like he should be sitting on the couch watching the game because, I mean, some of those throws he made that got picked off were just completely awful.
Absolutely. I mean, did you see that guy do the Booker T spit a Rudy on top of him? Yeah. What a crazy play. I was like, where's Booker T when you need him? Just an absolute. Like 2 pick sixes. I didn't expect the Texans defense to show up. I have a little bit for C.J. Stroud later because I think Brock are pretty similar players. Where I said that, I was called delusional by a co-host of ours on the Variety Sports Network. But moving down to the second game of the weekend, we have Patrick Mahomes and the Taylor Swifts absolutely dominating the softest team in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins, 26-7. Any takeaways? Is that even worth talking about?
I don't know. I left.
It's cold.
I'm left more disappointed in Miami. Like, when's this team going to show up in a big game?
Look at our boy Savage. The former Eagles, or not former, still a big Eagles fan, comes through. He's on our side now. I've seen him in Niners gear when he was a young pup. Yeah, we're gonna try. I'm a little worried about these Packers. I know Brian is not. I know he has all the confidence in the world in the San Francisco 49ers.
But I mean that's how we do it. I have all the confidence, and you're pessimistic.
You're absolutely right. That's the way this dynamic works. It's the T&B podcast. We know you're going to be all positivity, and I'll have a little.
You're going to be more like Larry Krueger.
Larry Krueger's an idiot. If you want to get into Larry, I mean he's a smart man, but he said that they should try and get Bill Belichick to be their defensive coordinator if this year.
Yeah, there's no way that's going to happen.
The ego of Bill Belichick taking over as a defensive coordinator, are you out of your mind?
But I couldn't even see him just being a defensive coordinator for a team. He probably just wants to be a head coach.
No, absolutely. He's not going to be a defensive coordinator. It's 8 Super Bowls. What the hell is he going to do as a defensive coordinator? Brian, let's get to the most shocking game of the weekend. The Green Bay Packers. What did I just say? I don't think I announced
Green Bay Packers.
The Green Bay Packers go into AT&T and prove to everybody if you're good in January/December, you could be the Cowboys' daddy, just like the Niners have done. Green Bay has more wins in AT&T than the Dallas Cowboys at this point in the stadium's history. Brian, what was the biggest takeaway? Dak obviously played terrible in the first half, but that defense I thought the defense for Dallas was better than that. Or is the Packers is that good?
I don't know. I think it's they just had no linebackers to cover people or make tackles on running backs, and I think that bit them in the butt in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Micah Parsons was kind of a no-show. There was no pass rush on Jordan Love, but Jordan Love was impressive. He was very impressive. He was getting the ball to all his receivers, Reed, Dobbs. Gosh, I'm getting a little gassy, Brian. Dobbs was electric. Christian Watson didn't even have a game, and he's probably their best receiver. We'll get more into the Packers in a little bit. 2 more games. The best game of the wild card weekend, the Rams-Lions. We're probably going to see the Lions in the NFC Championship game if we get there. We'll talk about the Lions and Bucks in a little bit, but we still have the Rams and Lions. Brian, what do you think of Stafford getting all the pub?
Yeah, I felt
And
like
then Jared Goff coming in and slapping him in the face.
Jared Goff had a real reason to give Sean McVay the middle finger after this game to go, you traded me to get Matt Stafford, and then I beat him in a playoff game to end your season. So that's perfect revenge for Jared Goff.
You're absolutely right about that. But I mean, Matthew Stafford did win a Super Bowl for Mr. McVay, so I think they take that trade off, one playoff win for a Super Bowl. Do you believe that Jared Goff could lead this Lions team to a Super Bowl in the next year or two? Or the next month or two? Or next month to a year and two? I don't know. This is terrible English on my behalf.
I don't know. If they did play the Niners, I don't know if that's a good matchup for them. In Levi's, I don't know.
You're right. That isn't a good matchup for. I don't think that's a good matchup for anybody at this point. We should be the heavy favorite. We're a 9.5-point favorite, I believe, against Green Bay. Then we have the Frozen Bowl, the game that gets pushed back. It looks beautiful on TV. I mean, I didn't have to sit in the stands, but it looked like a clear as all day, clear weather. Looks beautiful. I know it's a little nipply out there, but the Bills come in, smack the Steelers in the face. Without TJ Watt, the Steelers will never win a playoff game, and especially if Mason Rudolph is their coach. I think the biggest takeaway for this is Mike Tomlin walking out of a press conference because someone asked him if he had 1 year left on his contract, and he walked out before they could finish the question. Brian, I thought this was really soft. I know a lot of people are like, why would you ask that in that situation? It's not like she asked about some traumatic childhood moment. She asked him a real question. I mean, the game was a snooze fest for the Steelers. They didn't really stand a chance. They didn't really – I mean, you have Mason Rudolph. I don't blame Tomlin for it, but he does have 1 year left. He's probably looking for an extension. Do you think that was soft of him, or said it a bit about the game in that moment?
I think this is going to be what are the Steelers going to do with Kenny Pickett, because it seemed like the Steelers' offense was more productive with Mason Rudolph than it was with Kenny Pickett. That's if that's then you've got a problem with your starting quarterback.
Absolutely. They should abuse George Pickens. Throw at him all the time. He's so good. Like, he's so talented of a receiver. He's fast. He's tall. He can catch the ball occasionally, make a drop, but so would T.O. in those big moments.
And
which we'll get into later.
Darren hyping up this team before the season and saying how they were going to beat the Niners, and I got 50 push-ups out of it. So
did he ever do those 50 push-ups?
I think he might have done 47.
Well, what happened to the last 3?
I don't know.
Oh, man, Darren, you're cheating on 3 push-ups? And then we move to the last game of the weekend, Brian. The 10-1 Eagles, after week 11, the 49ers come in and smack them around, prove that the NFC Championship would have been at least a little bit different. I'm not saying the Niners would have won, but you can make that argument. They lose 7 of their next 8. Nick Sirianni is not nodding his head. He's not talking shit anymore. He looks like a dead man walking on those sidelines. Brian, where did it all go wrong, and how do they fix this in Philadelphia?
It felt like the Niners just exposed them in that game. It felt like every other team just said, we're going to do what they do to the Eagles. And it felt like the Eagles just fell apart. It felt like they kind of checked out. It felt like Jalen Hurts was just an ineffective quarterback, it feels like.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what the offense just went so bland. There was nothing. There was no, like, motion. Every run seemed to be east and west. You have one of the best offensive lines with the Detroit Lions. Run the ball straight at people. Like, be dominant. You have a great center. You have a great right tackle, great left tackle. The guards just are there to get in people's way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the offensive coordinator is Brian Johnson, but I could have done a lot better job than he did this year.
You probably could have, Brian. I wouldn't have put it back in. After week 11, they were god-awful. Back to the Eagles and Cowboys losing in this super wild card weekend. What would your thoughts have been? Like, I know if you were told they would not survive super wild card weekend, it would be a cakewalk for the 49ers, in my opinion, in week 11. My thoughts have changed, obviously. The Packers have gotten a lot better. The Bucs don't scare me one bit. But the Lions, their offense is pretty good if they protect him, Goff. What are your thoughts? What were your thoughts if in week 11, like if someone told you, like going back to that time, if someone told you the Cowboys and Eagles wouldn't be there in the divisional round?
I don't know. Something about the Cowboys. I just don't trust that team in the playoffs. That didn't surprise me. I think what more surprised me was the Eagles just the total collapse down the stretch.
Yeah, the Cowboys, I'm shocked they got blown out like that. I thought the offense was legit. I thought CD Lamb was damn near unguardable. And the Packers just beat them up. They dominated them. And Dak made he threw the bad pick early, and then he did Jair Alexander, and then he threw the pick 6 to Darnell Savage, our boy. Just running down the Dak things he does. He just is Dak in the playoffs. My wife calls him Disney's Animal Kingdom because of Dak. D-A-K, Disney. I was like, what the hell? Why do you keep calling him Disney's Animal Kingdom? It's not Dak. It's like the 3 letters. I was like, oh my God, you're a psychopath. But I love you. So Eagles, Cowboys out. We got 49ers, Packers. We'll get into that. And we have Lions, Buccaneers. Let's talk 49ers take on a scorching hot Packers team. Jordan Love has since November 19th, 21 TDs, 1 INT, 2,422 yards. Looks absolutely like the real deal. Looks like the reincarnation of Aaron Rodgers. How's this game go down, Brian?
I think people gave up on Jordan Love at some point in the season. He kind of took advantage of that and just, that's sometimes what you get when you go with a young quarterback. You're going to get bumps in the road, but he could get better. And he got a lot better as this season went along. And, yeah, this game's going to be down to the wire. I don't expect us to blow them out or anything. It's going to be – I think my prediction would be 31-28 49ers. It's going to be an offensive shootout, in my opinion.
Well, that's a close game. I mean, Vegas still has it as a 9.5-point game. Not very close, they don't think. I'm with you. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't have a lot of faith in the Niners defense like some 49ers fans do. I think
Armstead's going to help with the run defense, and that's going to help but we got to get pressure. Like, for some reason, the last 3 or 4 weeks, we haven't been getting pressure on the quarterback, and that's why Carson Wentz kind of diced us up a little bit.
That Rams game I take with a big grain of salt. We weren't playing anybody really. But the defense is sometimes can be hit or miss. Like the DBs sometimes are terrible. Sometimes they're great. But let me get back to Jordan Love and the Packers. I think what makes the Packers is these first and second year weapons that they've developed in the last 7 weeks, like last half of this year. Like Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Davian Wicks, and then Bo Melton can make a big play. And then you get the health of Aaron Jones, who's one of the most underrated running backs in all of the NFL, and he has been for years. It's a very tough offensive lineup to go up against. It's weapons everywhere, and then the way Jordan Love can sling it and the confidence he's playing with right now makes him a tough team to beat. Brian,
I think the one thing we can expose is the middle of the field. So expect to have George Kittle's going to have a big game in this game.
Yeah, big Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle receiving week. I'd agree. I think it's going to be a lot of running with McCaffrey to the left. Trent Williams is going to have to be a beast. Can't get hurt. Can't go down to someone falls on his knee or ankle. I agree with you. How do the 49ers take care of these offensive weapons of the Packers? Is it more the pass rush? Do the defensive backs need to step up more?
I think it's getting pressure on Jordan Love and like making his day, where he's running all over the place. He has people in his face all day. I think that's going to be the biggest difference.
Where do you see that coming? Is this a truth or is this just me being negative? Has Chase Young kind of been a bust? I know he started off really well, but has he done much the last 5 weeks? Like, I haven't seen much since the first 2 weeks on the team.
I agree with you. I haven't seen him get to the quarterback at all like he's supposed to.
I really need him to have a big week. I think Randy Gregory could have a big week. I think the key is Ambry Thomas. And hopefully Womack suits up. I don't want to see Isaiah Oliver on the field. I'm done with Oliver. I have been for 8 weeks. I
And
don't know.
hopefully your boy comes up with a big interception, Jair Brown.
That's your boy, Jair. I'm missing Tuafunga more than ever in this playoff because it reminds me of the great moment he had with the punt block touchdown against Aaron Rodgers and those Green Bay Packers when they were the 1 seed. We went in there. Robbie Gould says "F the Packers" after we're hitting a game-winning kick. But yeah, I think the DBs have to find and
I know people say it was a good signing, but I don't want Logan Ryan on the field. I want Jair Brown and Gibson. I know Logan Ryan was getting exposed. But that's
Logan Ryan sounds like a movie title character. Like Jack Reacher, Logan Ryan. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that. So I have the 49ers winning 32-24. But I think the Packers are going to move the ball well. They got to get those 4th down stops when they got to go for it. I think it comes down to LaFleur, who is a Shanahan baby. He's come off that Shanahan tree, versus Steve Wilkes. This is the game Steve Wilkes needs to show up. He needs the defensive line, Armstead, Hargrave. We signed you. This is the moment we need you, Hargrave. Put that hand in the dirt, run through those guards, and get to that quarterback. Get to Jordan Love's feet. Get into his face.
But I feel like the defense with this offense doesn't exactly have to be lights out. I feel like we can make more big plays than we had to do with the quarterback previously. It was just like we had to be lights out with him. I'm not gonna say his name, but
Brian, I love that you found a way you've matured in this podcast. You've gotten so much better from the beginning of the end. No more saying that guy's name. But yeah, you're right. I think the 49ers defense has to be opportunistic. They have to get turnovers. They're not going to win this game with no turnovers on the defensive side.
And they got to be successful in the red zone. They can't. I don't know if I want to be relying on our kicker right now.
That's another factor, Brian. The kicker leaves a lot to be desired. How will the 49ers take advantage of this defense? I know Joe Barry's been on the hot seat from before Thanksgiving. Everyone in Green Bay wanted to fire Joe Barry. They looked a little better. They did give up 35 points against the Cowboys, all in garbage time. How do the 49ers take advantage? Outside, it's just Kittle and McCaffrey, you think?
I think that's how you get the offense rolling is the run game. You give them a dose of McCaffrey and a dose of Eli Mitchell, and you just get those gash plays 5, 6, 7 yards, and that opens something up down the field.
Absolutely. How long do you give the run game if it stops working? You got to keep going to it.
I think it's kind of like when the pain reliever that you put in your veins when you get a big surgery. It's just like you got to keep sending it into the veins.
We do not condone drug use on this podcast, but I get it, Brian. You got to keep feeding our running backs. You got to keep pounding it. Do not put drugs into your veins without a doctor's approval. We do not like that. But yeah, I think Debo, he's always a big-time player. Every big game, he makes big plays.
Yeah.
How do you think he makes it? Is it in the air? Is it kick returns? He did stop returning them at the end of the. I think
I could see Shanahan drawing something up where he's in the backfield a lot in this game.
You think it's in the run game or is it in the receiving game for Debo?
Or
the screen game?
Sometimes he puts them in the backfield just to kind of make the defense think, oh, they're going to run Debo, but then they go a different direction.
I mean, that's the beauty of Kyle Shanahan and having these multi-versatile players in Kittle, Juszczyk, McCaffrey, Debo. Ayuk can even do a couple things out of the backfield when he was asked to.
You always see him when the defense is on the field. He's always geeking out and trying to find plays that we can score points on right before the offense comes on.
Absolutely, Brian. So I have 30. What did I say? 32? No, 35-24. I'm going 35-24. You had 31-28.
I'm picking it. Yeah, so that's a lot closer. So I guess I'm Mr. Pessimistic this week.
I still wouldn't be shocked if we somehow blow this game because I just think never out of the realm of possibility. Brian, quick, let's break down the Buccaneers. 2 minutes. Buccaneers, Detroit Lions in Detroit. It's good to see Eminem around. Man, he's
Yeah, I
all
know
over social media these last couple weeks. I freaking love it. Favorite
that
artist
was a
ever.
cool sweatshirt he was wearing.
The Barry Sanders one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. If the Niners lose, I'll be very devastated. But I'll be rooting for the Lions pretty heavily because they have had no success in their whole franchise history. And
All I say
they have some
about
fun
that game
players.
is don't count out the Buccaneers because I have a
You
feeling they're going to make it a close game.
believe in the Baker potatoes, Darren Breyer calls them.
Yeah, I believe in him. There's something about him. He's like really, he wants to win and he's really competitive. And I would like that as my quarterback on my team.
Brian, I have no faith in the Baker potato. I think he's a bum. I think he's okay. He did play well last game against the Eagles, but the Eagles' DBs were pathetic. What did Debo call James Bradbury? Trash.
Trash.
James Bradbury is trash. All right, Brian. So that's the NFC playoffs. I don't care about the AFC. We'll worry about that next week when the AFC Championship's going on. There are some good games. Brian, you said someone on the Packers was talking a little trash,
Yeah,
a little
Devontae
nasty.
Wyatt said if you put a lot of pressure in Brock Purdy's face, it's going to be a turnover guaranteed. And, that's bulletin board material. And I saw a picture of somebody posting Brock Purdy putting his fingers on the whiteboard and say, fuck around and find out.
All right. Well, we know what's going on the blackboard, the whiteboard, whatever board you have. I don't discriminate. I mean, Devontae Wyatt did have 18 monstrous tackles all year long. I wonder why he's the guy talking. 18 tackles. It is what it is. What do you expect Purdy's numbers to be? Last question on the game.
I think he's going to have a big game against the Packers offense. I think he throws for 320 yards, and I'm going to go. I think he throws for 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns, 300 plus yards too, and they're running
Yeah.
the ball. This is going to be a blowout, Brian. If they're running the ball, he's
But
going for 300.
I think the Packers offense is going to be on point, so I think it's going to be close because of that.
Hey, 49ers faithful, can you do one thing? Be loud. Take over the game. Get some offensive penalty. Get some offensive false starts going. Let's go.
I mean, do what you did to Stafford's wife, antagonize her to the point where she throws a pretzel at somebody.
Oh, Brian. I love Brian. Brian, you add so much to this, though. It's unbelievable. Brian, this is we'll go to the history books. I know you're a history nerd. You love the NFL and you're obsessed. It's your favorite thing on earth. Packers, 49ers, storied franchises, big playoff moments. I have a couple Packers ones to get them over with, or at least one. The Desmond Howard punt return in 1993 for 71 yards before going to the Super Bowl and doing it all over again and winning MVP. It was just a precursor of things to come. That's my Packers one.
I think that game was so bad because, Steve Young was
hurt.
100% healthy. He was dealing with the bad ribs.
Yeah, he went out after one in the first quarter. He didn't even play.
Yeah.
But yeah, Desmond Howard, the 71-yard punt return touchdown, just an unbelievable football player as far as returning punts, kind of before his time.
I used to hate that song they used to play, "Go Pack Go" in the crowd. I used to hate that.
I have nothing but offensive things to say, so I'll hold my tongue. Brian, what are your favorite Packers versus 49ers playoff moments?
I'm definitely going to go with the catch too with T.O. because at that time, Brett Favre was our daddy, and we had to find a way to beat him, and we finally did. Even though if we had replay back then, Jerry Rice's knee wasn't down, so Favre would have gotten another win against us.
Hey, sometimes good things happen to good people. Jerry Rice, a great person in the community. You earned that one. You're right. It was a fumble. T.O., one of the best calls of all time. Joe Starkey when Owens catches it. Owens, he caught it. Owens hasn't hung on to anything, including his fingers. Like, because he had such a bad game to start that game. Like, do you remember that? He fumbled the
Yeah.
first drive of the game. He dropped a couple of touchdowns, or one touchdown. He dropped a big third down. He said he lost it in the sun.
And it
But
just
then he
seems
comes up with the biggest catch of his career.
it seemed like the receiver who always had our number was Antonio Freeman. I thought he had like 2 or 3 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah, he was an unbelievable player. Just a great player, especially against the catch on Monday night against, I believe, the Vikings, or was it Tampa Bay?
I know, that was crazy.
Do you remember that one? Where he was
Yeah.
bobbling up in the great play. Another one I have, you mentioned it in the text chain about Colin Kaepernick's coming out party in the playoffs. All-time record for quarterback running yard, or at least it was at the time. I don't know if Lamar or somebody broke it since then.
And it started off really bad with the pick 6.
Yeah, we were watching. I was watching a different playoff game, and it cuts to damn guy on the Packers running down the sidelines for a touchdown. Started off very ominously, but we bounced back. Kaepernick, big game, and then the Hufunga. It's at the beginning of our music. We didn't even play the music, Brian. We didn't play the video.
What's going on, Tyler?
We'll play it. We'll play it on the outro for anybody who wants to stick around and watch the best video in all VSN history. Variety Sports Network. That's where you can catch us. You can catch all the great sports podcasts, except for one we'll get into a little later. And then the Hufunga block just was freezing cold. No one was doing anything offensively. Robbie Gould hits a big playoff, like I said. Big field goal. Walks it off. Fuck the Packers on the way out. Robbie Gould should be our honorary captain, even though we might want to sign him as our kicker, to be honest.
I think people made a lot out of that the last Rams games. Feel like fans started panicking after that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, do you want to talk any more football? I have somebody called me a name on our network that I got to address at some point. I would love for you to stick around. It's going to have to do with CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy. We'll get into it right now. This is what the guy had to say about me on the Variety Sports Zone. Talk of the Gridiron.
It's going to feed into your co-host and his delusional quest to try and get everybody else to take Brock Purdy seriously, even though he's got the best running back, tight end, left tackle, receiver, defense,
breaking
coach,
news,
GM. What else can they have?
Exactly. He's got everything.
Delusional.
It's the best part of Variety Sports Network. You and Jimmy going back and forth sometimes.
I mean, he called me delusional, and he told me that John Lynch is the best GM in all of sports. Kyle Shanahan's the best coach. How many Super Bowls do they have, sir? How many? Then they have the best receivers. Like, was Ayuk a number one until Brock Purdy became? He had 800 receiving yards until Brock Purdy started being their quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Jimmy sometimes. They made it seem like they beat us in October was their Super Bowl or something, and their team fell apart after that. So
delusional. Call me delusional. I was just referencing CJ Stroud's touchdowns. We're going to watch all 3 of them. And I said, Brock Purdy do this. You wouldn't hear a peep. You just say, oh, look at the weapons. Let's watch all 3 of these touchdowns. Tell me which one is impressive.
Play of this first quarter. Fake the pitch, find Collins, got good blocking. Collins has the corner, and he finds it. Touchdown, Houston.
I think I've seen that play before. I think maybe Bobby Orbeck learned it from Kyle Shanahan. I don't know.
Yeah, if you, I'm sure if you showed that Washington game, there was a where he went out and he hit Ayuk in the back of the end zone. I mean.
Brian, I'm not defending. I don't need to defend Brock Purdy. I know who Brock Purdy is. I know he's a great quarterback. We'll get into the GM thing a little bit too. But here's touchdown number 2.
13 pressures. We got Fant in at left tackle as this one goes to Brevin Jordan, the tight end. Makes a man miss and then shows off the speed. Jordan, pedal to the middle. He's gone. Touchdown, Texans, 76 yards.
I mean, what is this, the Yak Brothers 2.0 or something?
CJ Stroud is so great. Just because he's the second overall pick, he's played in the same scheme. Now, that's not number 3 is good, but let's look at how much room he has to fit this ball into his tight end.
Play action for Stroud. Good protection. Loads it up. Fires downfield. Excellent touch. Perfectly delivered. Touchdown.
All right, let's watch again. Look how much room he has to throw the ball. Look, there's not someone within 15 yards of him, and there's not someone within 5 yards of the receiver.
Play action for Stroud. Good protection. Loads it up. Fires downfield. Excellent touch. Perfectly.
I mean, he had all day to throw. I mean, he could have just sat back there, had some lunch, and still made the throw.
I'm delusional. Jimmy! God damn it. Jimmy, I love you. Great part of the far end of the bench. I tune in to far end of the bench every week on Variety Sports Network and on their own channel, Far End of the Bench, with Nico, who me and Nico have had a back and forth. He, like your co-host, went on my podcast and said Russell Wilson could do what Brock Purdy's doing. He didn't even have a job 2 weeks later. Who's delusional? Who's delusional?
Jimmy, give Brock Purdy more respect.
Absolutely. I don't even care. Like I do. I'm just breaking a point. Like I said before, I learned from the Mighty Ducks 3. Make them make the first move, Conway. You made the first move. I'm just answering back. And back to the GM being the best GM. This guy traded 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance. He's not even on the team anymore. What GM survives that? Not one, unless they get lucky enough to draft Brock Purdy.
I thought the best part of the Mighty Ducks 3 was when he broke that stick against the goal.
He was very frustrated, Mr. Conway. His mom was mad at him. His coach was yelling at him. Bob Bay wasn't answering his phone calls. Brian, that's all I have for the show today. Is there anything you want to add?
No, just go 49ers and beat the Cheeseheads.
Absolutely. Brian, it's a pleasure. I'm going to leave with our intro as our outro because I forgot to play it. It'll be good luck. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it.
And Jimmy, in that video, they show Joe Montana taking out the Bengals. So make sure you look at that.
Thank you, Brian. And if you're still tuned in, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, go to YouTube, go to Variety Sports Network, hit the like, hit the subscribe, turn that bell on, ring the bell. We're out of here. Brian, thank you.
Peace.
Let's go Niners, baby.
2 years ago, it's overturned, I think. Oh, not so sure. Jerry Rice.
You are now tuned in to the TMB podcast.